We are so glad that TaNikka is here with us today. We have a few questions for you, TaNikka, and I hope you came with some questions for us because we want these times to be a dialogue between us and different leaders. So, first of all, could you tell us about the NABF? Because there are probably folks out there who are still not really sure what the NABF even is and how we're connected to it.
Yes, the North American Baptist Fellowship is a region of Canadian and United States Baptist organizations, denominational groups, and bodies. We have 35 denominational groups, schools, and bodies. And yeah, we're right now at 35, and we are united in mission and encouraging leaders as those bodies. For some who think of us, one of our functions, just one, is the being the North American region, which is how we were founded, of the Baptist World Alliance. But we also are an autonomous organization uh, connecting Baptist groups with between Canada and the United States, throughout Canada and the United States. And you can read more about it on NABF Fellowship, NABfellowship.org. Yes. It's very exciting things. Very exciting. Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so, TaNikka, can you tell us about your calling to ministry and your journey into denominational leadership?
You told me to tell you about my calling. It is a circuitous road, but throughout there's a stream throughout. There's never been a time in my life where I haven't known that there was a God because of how we grew up. So I can always say that, although I've had my questions, although I stepped away from the church, never from Jesus, but the church, I have an affinity, I know part of my calling is to reach people who have been church hurt, or to reach people who are looking for their purpose, to develop leaders and to really serve. But my passion is leadership development. And I believe that God uses that from a lens of liberation, innovation, and collaboration.
Awesome. Thank you. I wonder what has been the most helpful leadership and ministry advice that you have received.
Mm, I've gotten so much, but I will tell you this because I just said it yesterday to somebody. Leadership specifically is that every role you have is a relay race. And so it is not your race by yourself. And therefore, anybody who watches relay races will know that it's all about how you get the stick, what you do while you're running, and then how you pass it on. And so the big thing is not to make leadership about you, but know that even generationally, you're picking something up, but you should think about positioning who comes behind you in a better way and run the best you can. That doesn't mean always, because I used to run the 4x4, running as fast as you can, because that's a good way to lose, but to just make sure that you're cheering on your teammates too. And so before you cheered on, so you should be the best follower anybody has ever seen. But when you're running, it's still not a solo mission. But then when you hand it off, cheer on the person you hand that baton to. Those things are important.
Is there any advice that you wish someone had given you as you started your leadership journey?
So much of it. Uh, I would say read the book. I'll get to that later. But I wish I could tell my younger self, this is what I would say, is be courageous and be confident. Um, I wish I could have convinced myself how important my voice is. And to I wish I would have learned to embrace my gift of awkwardness a lot sooner in life and to operate fully. But yeah, I would definitely say those three things that I wish I would have known a lot sooner. Those things. I'm just yeah.
I love that you see awkwardness as a gift. I think
Oh,
that's beautiful.
I can say a billion things when I preach and when I teach. I can say all sorts of things, but if I bring up my gift of awkwardness, I've yet to in the last 10 years somebody come up to me after the end. They may not say anything about what I just preached about or taught about, but they would be like, I have it too. And I'm like, go with it. It's a gift, you know, because it is, because it helps me to reach people who are often don't fit in. And I remember it's not a well-known statement, but I remember just the Holy Spirit just saying, it's not that you are like, in order to be outstanding, you have to stand out. Like you got to be different. And so mine just it's very different in very awkwardly wonderful ways. And it comes clumsy sometimes. Like I don't know how I trip over things when they're not there, but it reminds me to get back up again and stay humble too. You know.
It will keep you humble. Um, so you have a lot of leadership responsibilities. How do you stay spiritually grounded as you serve?
Remember that God is first. I try to keep my appointment with God every day through Uptick. There's an organization called Uptick. We say the first battle of the day. Sometimes it's the one throughout the day, but I try to, and now there's a longing to me that if I even get near to skipping my time, my morning devotional time, I have to go back and find time for it. But I try to make that the first thing. The other thing is just being humble because it's a waste to serve God and not know God. So I would hate want to be one of those people who, based on the words recorded of Jesus, that at the end, Jesus says, I never knew you. Yeah. So that and just trying to, we're apart. There was a quote I think I've said to you all before. I learned in India, this guy's ministry, and he said, people asked him why he does what he does, and he said it was anti-human trafficking, and anybody knows about that in India knows it's. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but there's a lot of human trafficking, quite frankly, the most in the world right now in India. He said people always ask him why he does what he does because it feels like a waste of time. You know, there are millions of people who are enslaved, and so why, your few that you have, there would be about 100 women in there, I think, at a time in his life, resourcing a school. And he said these words that changed my life. He said, I know the work that I'm doing is a drop in the ocean, but I also know there's an ocean in every drop. And so I try to just remember that it's a drop, but that drop matters because there's an ocean in it when you look in the eyes of the people you get to impact. It's also the fact that it's never this service that I do, no matter what parts, I don't have to do any of it. I get to do whatever I get to do. It's an opportunity to serve God, never an obligation.
I wonder if anyone has questions for TaNikka that they might like to jump in and ask. You're certainly welcome to do so. If not, then perhaps TaNikka has some other things that she wants to share with us, or she might even have some questions for us.
I put together a little presentation for you all that I hope you will enjoy. And it's going to be short, I promise. But because I'm in this season, and some of you know why, I've been really inundated with leadership lessons, is what I do as a coach, and I try to share the knowledge. So I put together a presentation. Hopefully, I will be able to share. And this presentation is called like identifying your HKU. So it's so interesting when Joyce talked about passion and things like that. So I'll just share it and then we'll have a short conversation whatever time we have left. And hopefully it is a blessing to you all. Hopefully, Zoe, you could pin me because I know sometimes the writing is small. All right, so let me share this. So the piece I've been sharing is called, oh, praise God, identifying your HKU or your highest kingdom use. And there's a scripture where the Lord came to me before I formed you in the womb. I knew you before you were born. I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to nations. I'll share at the end why I picked that scripture, but there's knowing that there's a calling on our life and there's something that we don't have to do, but we get to do. And so years ago, and I can explain how this came about. But anyway, what is HKU? HKU stands for Highest Kingdom Use. And I'm very passionate about knowing mine and helping other people find their HKU. What is it? It's an area or function of service where you can have the greatest impact for God in this season of your life. So just remember area or function, no greatest impact in this season. And just know also it aligns with God's will. So that's where earlier I talked about alignment. Whatever the HKU is, it aligns with God's will. So it's very present, it's very purposeful. But it's also about today, what God is calling us to do today. So aspects of your HKU. So when I talk about knowing your HKU or your highest kingdom use, there's different components or aspects of it, and it includes, yes, your unique combination of your calling, your gifts, your talents, experiences, and passions. It also includes your availability, willingness, and commitment. So you can have all of that, but if you're not available, if you're not willing, if you're not able to make a commitment towards it, then just knowing it, can fall short. So it also includes that. I talk a little bit about capacities there, which you're able to do, but it includes your confidence and courage because there's going to be a point when you're going to need to know because it involves saying yes to some things and no to some things. It includes your discernment and wisdom, being able to be wise about what we step into. And if no other time in history, then we need people understanding their HKU today. And then here's the big thing, because a lot of people, the reason I point to HKU and I just don't talk about calling, I just don't talk about your gifts, your experience, your passion, and it has but it must align with needs within the organization, church, or if church is where you're serving and or community. So that's just as important. And if you want to offer something that's not needed, that's not an HKU because this is about kingdom. So it must align, fit into a need, an actual need that's there. And then every time I talk about HKU, I tell people to breathe. Remember, HKU is not limited to one job or position. And so when we talk about highest kingdom use, it's thinking bigger than that because jobs come and go, positions come and go. And so if somebody got fired or they left the job and it's not there anymore, they may think, oh my gosh, I can't do my HKU if they knew about HKU. But that's not true because it's not limited to one job or position. It's about being flexible. So Allison, when you kept saying flexible, I was like, oh, nobody saw this before I came today. Anyways, it's about being flexible and open to new possibilities because what I've experienced is one door closed, another opens. If I know my highest kingdom use is developing leaders, that is not limited to one job, one situation. But when we really open our eyes to HKU, there literally is a universe of options and opportunities. And that's why we have to use discernment. And then this is about possibilities, not pressure. That's also why I said, I never have to do anything. I get to do things. And so It's just not anything we should feel pressured about. Like, like when people are like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? No, what is God's purpose? How can we be a part of it? So it's not, this is about possibilities. You don't, when it comes to HKU, it's just about opening your eyes and seeing what God is doing and being a part of that. So here's some steps to discernment. Commit to times of prayer and fasting. That's very important in just discerning God's will. Make a list of your gifts and assets. So those things I talk about, you are able to make a list of assets are not just what you have, but what you have access to. So it also includes groups that you know, people that you are connected with and things like that. I always say above all things, remain humble because this is about kingdom use. It's not about creating your own little empire. And so nobody, when we're in our HKU, there are moments when people don't know your name and they don't have to because you are of service to God. And then there are times when they do. So this is about having the greatest impact, not necessarily the greatest platform, is what I would say to people. Pay attention to needs. I can't overemphasize that. You're as a servant, not as a savior. So we're not here swooping in to save anything. We're usually a part of something where we get to serve. And then seek wise counsel. So just making sure there are people who probably know you that can give you feedback and then put it into action. So knowing all this is pointless if you are not going to do it. Anyways, so as a leader, ask these questions. What do you do well that the kingdom needs? I can't emphasize that. And this could be in an international way. So this goes beyond community. How can I support someone else? And that's part of HKU. How have your past failures prepared you to serve more effectively? There's so much we can learn, and that's why I enjoy the questions that were asked at the beginning of our time together, because one of the questions I ask every leader, if I get time to sit at the feet of just some well-seasoned leaders, I always ask them about their past failures because there's so much to learn. And many times we will not even know why something did work, but we can usually figure out a few reasons why it didn't. So failure is a wonderful teacher. In what ways do you need to grow to do this? So if you're looking at your HKU, what are some ways, like everything you need, you do have access to, and part of that access to is knowledge. So as you're becoming more informed of your highest kingdom use in this season, what things do I need to learn to be more impactful? What books should I be reading? What podcast should I be listening to? What groups or people can I sit at their feet? Who can mentor me in this time? So that's also important when you're talking about your HKU. The other thing is a heart check. So what risk are you willing to take? There are risks in that any leader has to take, and we're coming to an hour when many people are going to be required to take a big risk. And this always happens in the kingdom. Jesus did it. The risk is a cross that we should bear, but we have to be honest with ourselves about it before we could talk about it to somebody else. So looking in and seeing what are the risks that you're willing to take to have that great impact, to do the great work. And then last but not least, how can you help others identify their highest kingdom use? As leaders, we should always be helping persons discern. We should always be discipling somebody. So even if you don't serve in a church, there's a way to disciple other people. And it's part of our Great Commission and the greatest commandments. And then last but not least, you can read more about it as it is one of the days or chapters of my new book called the SLS 28-Day Reset. And it's not just a book, it's a 28-day leadership boot camp, but there's a whole piece on understanding your highest kingdom use and how to activate in it. And so that is my time. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts?
Where can we get the book at?
You can get it at, and I'll put it at my website. So it is www.liveleadinspire.org. So www.live. I could put that back up, that last thing, because I guess I did take it down very quickly. www.liveleadinspire.org, which is my website. And I shouldn't have called it a book because it is a 28-day leadership boot camp. So I've, as most people who write things and create things, it is a boot camp. So it's an immersive experience more than you can't just sit and read it. You read it and do it because it's a very interactive 28 days of experience. And yeah, hopefully, um, and I created it. You didn't ask me this, but I created it because we are in a space where leaders have to be even more impactful, even sharper, fresher, renew our minds. And that's part of it. It's helping leaders renew their mind to transform lives. And so just being able to get into a space for 28 days and refine your leadership as grounded in spirituality is what it is.
TaNikka, I have a question. Was the process for you to develop this concept and to discover that in your own?
Yeah, so and I share a little bit of this. So and I'm gonna answer that and talk about the boot camp. So the boot camp is an experience, and if you get it, you're gonna hear this story. So inside of it, it's a digital book, guidebook, but the guidebook is a map. And so inside of it has links to videos and everything. And so in one of the videos, to answer your question, I talk about how several years ago now, maybe even 10. So I've been actually teaching on HKU for more than 10 years. And so when those who know me really well would know this about me. I love music and I like to sing, but I do not like being in choirs. And so my church at the time was trying to get people to join this choir. And it was a one-time choir, and I did not want to do it. And I was wrestling. I was just like, oh my gosh, because I was leading a light care group. I was studying for something, and I just had so much to do. And the choir practice was during the Bible study I was leading. And so I'm talking to a friend of mine, and I didn't come up with the concept. Let me say that. I was in choir practice, not going to choir practice. I was trying to explain how I was going to tell the people I don't want to be in a choir. And so I was saying, I'm busy. I don't like, and people who know me know I do not like, I love singing, but I care nothing about lyrics. And I don't like standing in one place at the same time. So every choir culture to me, it boggles my mind. You got to stay in one place, look at that same person the whole time. I just said, I don't want it. I do not want to be a part of this, but I wanted to be obedient. So long story short, I say it shorter in the video, but my friend at the time, I'm trying to explain, and I'm telling my friends, like, I don't want to be in this choir. And they was like, after I said all of those things, me not paying attention or remembering lyrics, me not wanting to stay in place, me not wanting to jack. And I'll never forget, he said, Cindy, those are reasons, but that's not why you shouldn't be in a choir. You shouldn't be in a choir because that's not your highest kingdom use. He said, your highest kingdom use is to develop young leaders and to teach that Bible study. That's your highest kingdom use right now. And that's why you shouldn't be in a choir. So you want to be obedient, but whose voice are you being obedient to? So just so you know, all know, 10 years ago, I told him, oh, that's a lesson. He forgot what he even said to me because he was just preaching to me. But I said, that's a word. And so for the last 10 years, I've been helping people discern, really more than that. My God, about 12 or 12, 14 right now. I don't know. Since that statement was made to me, I have been helping people discern that because those are the moments. We think it's this huge epiphany. It's not. It's learning to say, you're going to make some people mad because they want you to be over here. I can't be over here. Now, I wouldn't tell them that's not my HKU. Like you have to say that to yourself and just walk in it and allow some no's to happen so you could do that ultimate yes. Now, here's the big thing. My highest kingdom use is develop leaders, but how that's happened, that's why I said in this season, then I was developing youth. And so it was important. I had to say no to a lot of things with adults. Now I have to say no to a lot of things for youth with youth because my time is with leaders and leaders of leaders. So it shifts and things. But I said that long story because that's how it came about, Joyce. So I hope that's what you were asking.
Um, Thank you for that. To continue that question, based off what you just said, how can you give us some insight or some pointers on how to help others understand the shifting of your highest kingdom use? Because just because it was something in one season, it's shifting in another season, and people still want you to be in that box of what they only see you as.
hmm Yeah, the first thing I don't do, let me tell you what I don't do. I don't say that where highs can be used. So, but how I help other people, because that just sounds like Christianese, which it is, and I speak Christianese very well, but to help people. So I went to that person, and it's the same thing I do now. And I said, I think it's so dope that you all are having this choir. I'm not going to be able to be a part of it just because I have some other things on my calendar that day. When I'm a part of groups, I try to, number one, fulfill what I said I would do, and then go talk to the leadership. And one, I'm always thankful for the time that I've been able to spend there. And the second thing is that I'm honest and saying, you know what, I don't have the capacity to be able to be a part of this. And I take the ownership on myself. Like I said, I'm not going to blame God and say, that's not my highest kingdom use, but I usually use words like that, you know what, right now I got to focus and I really want to hone in on my commitments. And so I would love to be, now in that choir, I wouldn't, but let's say somebody asked me something that I actually wanted to do. I'm gonna get so much seasons. I just think it's funny. Anyway, but things even that I want to do, I will tell you the first thing I do is also check my heart because sometimes I've left things that, and it's okay because my Kai skin use is not a part of being around foolery, which I've left stuff that is just not effective. But to answer your question, I try to hone in on the fact to let them know this is my decision. And I don't have the capacity right now to be able to be involved in this. So I have other responsibilities that are coming in this season that's going to pull me away from there. And that's so I use those types of words and things, responsibilities, capacities, other things that I must do. But once again, I always try to be thankful to those whom I serve with for those opportunities to serve. As you don't want to burn a bridge when all you need to do is close the door. That's what I tell people. Some people just blow it up and put on fire. Then they like, oh, I didn't know the Lord would send me back. Now, see, you shouldn't have blew it up. You should have just humbly walked away. That's what you should have done. So yeah. And I also remember this, when helpful, when I'm able to, when I see that my time is ending, I try to, and this is where discipleship comes in, I try to already be preparing the person who comes after me. And so that's why when it comes to leadership opportunities, I try to always be recruiting people, bringing people on, bringing people together. So for me, if we're really going to spiritualize it, Jesus said, what was it, John 14 or one of those last chapters. Anyway, he said, greater works that you will do because I go to the Father. So whenever I'm leaving a place, I try to leave it better, but also I try to make sure that I've recruited some people and cheer them on to do even greater works because I don't want people to miss me. I want that next person to get the sunshine. So I do try to make sure it's an exit ramp and not a cliff. But in that process, that's why at the beginning of this, I talked about this relay race. I'm always trying to prepare the next person. So whether it's the systems I create or things like that, so whoever comes after me can pick it up and run with it. And I know I'm just going on and on, but let me tell you, LaFawn, I said all that, but sometimes people won't understand. Even if you're nice and you're gracious and you give them 6 months notice, they may not understand. So After you've done all that, you let them know, give them enough time if you have an integral position to find it. And the last thing I try to do when I'm leaving is not to say anything negative, but to speak life. I pray about the people I'm leaving and things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I wasn't sure how long our time together is today.
I really appreciated you calling out the need for like flexibility and openness to new possibilities because like I know that like I have experienced uh, some wonderful opportunities like into leadership roles that like I never went looking for. But if I hadn't stayed present and open, then like those things would have passed me by.
You just bringing up a good point. Like that's why it's about the needs of the community, the needs. But like you said, it's about being humble and serving. And I think part of that is understanding that we in that role, we just got to be faithful. We don't have to outwork anybody. We don't have to work ourselves to death. And about being healthy. I wish I would have known that when I was younger because I used to want to just let me work hard. But working hard is a thing, but you don't have to work the hardest. Just be faithful, be present, and be consistent in that. And you'll be amazed at the doors that open up to you to serve. I mean, I'm sitting here today because I was because of God, but years and years ago, I was serving with youth at my church, and then I started serving with like Carrie, which opened up another door. And you never know. This is whoever's going to listen to this. I guess they'll go in the library of daughter or something, but you never know who's watching you. That is one of the things that I will also emphasize. And Allison, you're a great example of this, but there were people who are always watching. And I remember Dr. Keith A. Troy was talking to associates one day, and he said, many, what did he say? He said, some of you want to preach, but there are people who can't hear you or listen to you because they've been watching you. And that was, it hurt. Boom. It was like drop the pen and walk away, drop the mic, whatever people were dropping that day. But sometimes because people have been watching us, that'll close a door, but I've seen it open a lot of doors. And people are listening, we don't know. So I try to be careful of things I say. As you become a stronger and stronger leader, I would say practice now, not saying anything that you want repeated and say it how you want it repeated. That's a rule I have. Because here's the thing, with technology, I mean, this meeting's being recorded, but you never know who's recording you, number one, but you never know who's watching. So whatever I say in a way of how I wanted it repeated. So then if the person should say it, I'll be like, actually, I didn't even say it like that. What I said was, and then I'll just say it. I'll just say what I said, and stand on it. So those are things that I will offer you all, especially now. But I'm gonna push this, be courageous. When I think about my call, my family did not understand my call to ministry or any of this until probably I was in my shoot. I think I've been preaching at my church for 4 years when my sister came up to me, one of my sisters who would come to every sermon. And she said, you know what? I finally believe it. I believe you are called. What in the world? What have you been doing? I think I was in my early 30s, but praise God for family who supports you. But you are just the importance is to be confident because there's going to be some people who don't understand, and their understanding of success is not God's and kingdom's understanding of impact. Because if it was, Jesus would have been a failure. And I always remember that my success is being in alignment with God's will. And honestly, you really don't know the impact that you have until the next lifetime. I mean, until your life has passed on. So the work that you're doing now, in the book, I talk about your leadership voice and your legacy voice, and you're doing legacy dreams. And so building now, we should be thinking generationally. We don't tell that to young people. You should be thinking generationally. So when you talk about highest kingdom use, I may just be laying a brick that's part of a bigger building. It's not my building, it's the kingdom. And so I'm just a piece is what I can only reemphasize, but it's not my building. It's God's, but that also means it relieves the pressure from me, because when I think about my legacy dreams, it doesn't have to be accomplished in my lifetime. What I'm serving towards, what I'm working for, I may not ever see it, but I get to see and be a part of the process. And that's where peace comes to my heart, even during the hardest times. I'm a part of the process. But it's not, all of these positions and things are a part of the process too, whether they be great or small. So that's advice I would give you all to remember where you are now. Any more? I know we're nigh on time. Any other questions you all might have? Wow. I'm glad we all got to be together today. This has actually been a highlight of my day. Thanks, y'all.
Exactly what we wanted to hear.
Yeah, we had an executive committee meeting earlier today with the NABF, and I've been meeting even before that, but this has been a highlight. I love talking about leadership, if y'all can't, if y'all don't know this. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of today's session. And I'm so proud of you all for being the collective and running with this vision. It's such a pleasure to see it.
Thank you for being here with us today and for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you for always cheering us on as we try to build the collective into something really awesome.